Hello! So I wanted to make a short video about some reading I've been doing as far as dancers and finances. And I know I talked about this a lot in my last video where I updated you on my 2 weeks with USIB summer company, but I have some resources that I've been reading and just kind of thinking about in my own life that I wanted to share. So this first one is Dance Magazine, July 2018, so about a year. Last year, and the title of the article is "Can we have an honest conversation about who's really paying our rent?" So this talks about a dancer who gets $100 a week but also has to work the front desk at a yoga studio and is a counter girl at a coffee shop. So you make a few $100s a week living in New York. Then this next paragraph, "But I had a safety net. My parents insisted I have health insurance, so they paid for it. If I couldn't make rent, they paid for it. And when rent-stabilized apartments became available, I used an inheritance from my grandfather to pay the sizable broker's fee." This is not an uncommon story. Lots of dancers are aided by parents or spouses, whether it be $100 here or there, or a trust fund that allows them to dance with no financial worry. So this article just goes on to talk about percentages of dancers who are able to just dance and they make a living from that, especially maybe dancers from bigger companies that have governmental funding. ABT, New York City Ballet, Royal Ballet, usually state ballets are taken care of financially. And I am a libertarian, but I gotta say government is really good at funding the arts when it's made a priority. So that's what that one is, and I'm one of those dancers who is taken care of as far as rent and food by my spouse. I think that if I had not gotten married, I would still be living somewhere a lot cheaper. We've purchased a home now because it came into our power financially. I would be living somewhere cheaper with lots of roommates, just like I was in college, and I would be, with the amount that I work now would be enough to take care of that. As it is, the amount that I make now, I kind of put away, or I put into my little business that's still trying to get off the ground. Go buy something from chevaldancewear.com and help me out. And then, I'd be spending what was left on dancing. And to be honest, I actually also have parents who would not let me starve. I might have to, in my family, there is kind of this expectation that you will grow into being 100% independent. But if something were to happen, I have 6 siblings and my parents who would all give me a couch to sleep on for at least a little while. So, there's never any point where I would end up on the street if I hadn't got married. And I have several dance friends like that. I have a really good friend who dances in California and Utah, and she makes enough money dancing to take care of herself, but I know that she's lived with roommates while she's away from her husband. I know that he makes sure she has a place to live and stay when she's with him. So, she has that kind of backup, even though she's pretty much full-time professional ballerina. And then I have another friend who I know still gets some help from her parents. I know she still actually works for her parents a little bit, but she's also a professional teacher and a professional ballerina. She does a lot of nutcracker guesting, actually. She's very, very good at all of the solos that you might need for a nutcracker show. So, it's not unusual, and there's nothing shameful about it. I used to think I could not call myself a professional dancer until I was able to make a certain amount of money, or until I would be able to hypothetically be able to take care of everything I needed physically and as far as dance training without needing any other income. And the truth is that's just not a reality for, I think this article says, up to 90% of professional dancers, professional entertainers. We don't do it for the money. And this brings up this other book. I've seen this book around a lot, but I had never picked it up. And there was a copy at the studio, so I decided to borrow it. Dancing, A Guide for the Dancer You Can Be, Ellen Jacob, published in, I'll find it, 1981, I believe. And I remember seeing this book several times growing up, but never really picking it up. I think because the picture kind of turned me off. It's very, late 70s, and I just thought, I don't want to be that kind of dancer, so I never picked it up. But it's excellent. I'm really enjoying it so far. So the chapter entitled The Career-Minded Dancer has this section called The Financial Problems. I'm just going to read a little bit to you. Nobody goes into dancing for the money. Money troubles start to besiege some dancers when serious training begins, because training is expensive. I've worked the back end of several dance studios, and some of those tuition rates, I mean, I get it, because I also want to be paid what I'm worth as a dance teacher, but goodness, you can't be a lower middle class family and pay for 3 of your daughters to take ballet class 3 times a week without some sacrifices or maybe some work trade things. I do have a friend who does that with all 3 of her daughters. She does some trading with a studio. Unfortunately, actually that same friend, her oldest daughter is selling little books that she wrote a book about a turtle, and she sells those for $10 a piece to pay for her pointe shoes, which is really cool. But that's introducing this young dancer to the realities of being a dancer very early. I think she just turned 13. Okay, I'm going to continue with this. You can't get state or federal loans to pay for your dance training the way you might for college. I don't know how true that is now. I know there are all kinds of programs. And of course, this is before GoFundMe and different ways of asking the community for money. To be fair, the situation has improved since the old days when most modern dancers and many ballet dancers didn't get paid at all. Many of them even stitched their own costumes. Today, thanks to the dance boom and the greater support of dance that it has generated through various arts funding organizations, most American dancers earn enough money to live on. Still, it's a modest living at best. Though a handful of superstars make over $100,000 a year. I did just read David Hallberg's autobiography, or it was more like a memoir of his injury and recovery, because he's not finished dancing by any means. The highest paid concert dancers are, the rank and file make just about enough to meet expenses. The highest paid concert dancers are those who work in a few unionized companies, but the vast majority of dancers in professional companies do not belong to a union. I'm not sure how true that is right now. I have one friend who is part of AGMA and then another friend who isn't, and they both say good and bad things about it, so I probably won't invest that much in it. There are varying degrees of job security in professional dancing. Members of ballet and modern dance companies who are happy in their circumstances often stay where they are for their entire careers. I don't know how true that is anymore. I do know a lot of ballet dancers who will start in smaller companies and kind of hone their professional experience, being able to take care of their makeup and their costuming and, giving themselves their own corrections before they're able to move on to larger companies. I know this is true of several members of Ballet West. If they didn't go through the Ballet West trainee program, they went to spend several years at a smaller company and then were able to hone themselves so that they would fit in better at Ballet West. Sometimes job security entails accepting the status quo in exchange for steady work. Even though most dancers have the need to move on to greater challenges, they may have to resist the impulse in order to be assured of receiving a weekly paycheck. For years, one talented dancer I know stayed with a certain ballet company because he had a wife and family to support, in spite of the fact that he was bored with the repertoire. Some solutions. The many imponderables of a dance career make it advisable for most dancers to cultivate an alternative means of earning a living, or at least supplementing their income. Many have to find a way to pay for classes and support themselves while training. When they are getting their first experience, young performers are paid very little or not at all, and there's actually been controversy over that lately, but actually probably for the last decade. Young dancers who are trainees or apprentices are being used in large group shows like Nutcracker. They'll perform 20 or 30 Nutcrackers and not get paid because they're only trainee status. But they're working just like the professionals. So there's some stuff there. And I know there are parallels in sports as well. The idea that college football players ought to be paid because of the amount of work they do to make what they do happen. And I don't even like football. Then this has a list of things that dancers do. So babysitting, making clothes, and teaching classes, being taxi drivers, artist models, receptionists, salespeople. Twin Talks Ballet, Kirsten, she has a really good video on things you can do. And she has an example where you get a desk job, so you're being paid to sit at the desk, but you also have a social media marketing job. So while you're being paid to just sit at the desk and answer the phone, you can be on the computer writing and filling out your duties for your social media job, and at the same time you're maybe writing up something for a coaching program that you have. There are dance wear companies, Cheval Dancewear, go buy something or just send me a note. But Yumiko, Rubia Wear, I believe Lucky Leo's as well, I could be wrong. I think Elevate Dancewear as well, started by dancers who just were trying to supplement their income to feel a little bit more financially stable. So I could go on and on about this, but I just want to say that for me, doing this research and having this professional experience that I am having right now, it's not shameful to not be able to dance full time and not be able to support myself financially with just dancing. That's the reality for a lot of dancers and for a lot of artists. And we don't do it for the money, we do it for the experience and for the passion and for the love and for some twisted thing that's wrong up here, but we just love it. And I just want to say I'm really happy. I'm happier now in myself having that understanding. So if you are pursuing some kind of passion that you love and it's not making you the money that you want it to, that's okay. It would be great if we could push through and make this something that also makes us fabulously wealthy. That would be wonderful. But you know, I've tried different things to get rich quick. I mean, not really, but my dancewear business was something that I was hoping would eventually be able to support all my dancing financially. But I'm more worried about going to class and improving myself as an artist instead of spending hours and hours and hours working on my dancewear business. I would never want my business and money-making schemes to push my dancing out of my life completely. That there would be no point to it after that. So I really do want you to read this article, and I really, really want you to go watch some of Kirsten's videos on this similar topics. I'm going to put those down in the description box, and I wish you happy dancing. If you came here to my channel for the fasting videos, happy feasting, happy fasting, and I will talk to you guys later.